Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott. Today, one of the top questions that I tend to get asked just over the long term is often about people say, what grip do you have on your cameras? And so most of you have seen on all of my mini reviews, you've seen, the grips that I have. I like to use grip extenders. I don't often use the L bracket portion, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I like to use grip extenders on my various cameras, and that's particularly true on my Sony bodies. And depending on the size of your hands, you may find Sony grips to be fine for you. For those of us that have hands a little bit on the larger side, they tend to be undersized, and so having a grip extender to give you a little more something to hang on to really increases the comfort level of using the camera, particularly if you're using it with larger and heavier lenses. And so the primary grips that I use, actually at the moment I have 4 cameras, 3 kind of major cameras that I use on an ongoing basis, and I have a SmallRig grip extender / L bracket on each one of them. And so here we're going to explore some of the reasons why I like them so much. You just saw one of the primary reasons, outside of it fitting well in my hand, that someone like myself really loves SmallRig and grip extenders like this L brackets, and that is that they make all your cameras Arca Swiss compatible, which is awesome because I can go right onto a tripod, either for filming, which I just did on, let's see, I'm filming on an A9 right now on that. And so I just threw it on top of a tripod to film with, and of course demonstrating here with the EOS R. And so it is, it's that kind of convenience is really great. Now the other thing that we'll explore in just a second is it also gives you a lot of flexibility for adding on accessories, be it for video purposes or, simply for me adding on a place for, the attachment points, the anchor points for a camera strap or things like that. So let's jump in and look at a little closer hands-on as to why I think that these grip extenders, L brackets, are so useful. Okay, so let's take a closer peek here. All of these that come as an L bracket, you do have the option to use them as just a grip extender by very simply removing the extra piece here, as I've done. Now, of course, the advantage of having an L bracket itself, as we'll take a look on the EOS R here, is that it does give you the Arca Swiss compatibility even if you are in a vertical shooting mode. Also, there are, if you're connecting things like microphones or various other accessories, there are a total of 6 different connection port areas there that are threaded that you can add accessories to. And so it's kind of according to your need. Your mileage may vary. But I did want to give a quick comparison. I actually bought a different grip extender at one point to use. I had one SmallRig. I wanted to see how another one compared. And so this gives you an idea of some of the advantages of the SmallRig. So first of all, you can see that we have got one threaded point here near the base on this equivalent here. This is both for Sony a7R III or a7 III, a9, etc. And so you can see you got 5 versus 1 there. Another kind of critical aspect is that when I had this particular grip extender on, by the way, look at the bottom here, we've got 1 threaded point versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of the main thing actually for me was having no notches like this. It's these little things, bars or notches, where you can connect an accessory. For me, I like to keep the anchor point for my Peak Design straps, and so I like to have this kind of out of the way, but I prefer a strap point on the bottom rather than on the side for one of these. I just like the way that the camera hangs, and so having that there where I can hide it is a big deal, and I just didn't have that option on this. One other also critical thing is that while I do charge the camera, or the battery in camera a lot of times, I ran into a problem on this other one to where the tolerances weren't quite good enough to where I could access the battery door without it hanging on that. And no matter how I kind of shifted it around, it would hang a little bit. And so in the cases where I needed to pull the battery out, this one just didn't satisfy. One other thing actually that I will point out is that, again, tolerances are very tight on some of these things. So for Arca compatibility, with the SmallRig, it is compatible. I've got 3 different SmallRig, and I've used 4 different SmallRig of these. All of them have been compatible with all of my tripods that are Arca Swiss compatible. In this case, it's just on the edge to where it worked on one of my tripods, not on two of the others. And so in terms of the heads. And so, you know, again, that extra bit of tolerances and engineering on the small rigs to me is worth a little bit of extra money. Now, this comes with a magnetically held tool here, and so that you can loosen and remove it if you wanted it. And so again, you know, beyond that, it's pretty simplistic. I will note that one of my tendencies is that the material that it comes in is this kind of anodized metal, which looks great. However, if you're about grip, which I am, it's a smoother surface, and so it feels different compared to the rest of the grip material, and also obviously it doesn't have as much grip. Now you can see, even for someone with a, you know, I would call my hands the small size of large, or small side of large. And so I've got plenty of room here on this A7R3 to grip it just fine. So what I have done is I have used this grip tape. I'll throw a link to it in the description down below. And so it is just, it's highly sticky, and it also is, it has a really good grip that helps it to kind of match up to, it's not a perfect match, but you can see that it matches up quite nicely. Now, even with the EOS R, I'm not actually a person that often uses the L bracket portion. So a lot of times I just remove that, and I just keep it for the times I need it. I actually find the EOS R's grip pretty decent on its own, but I found that I was continually missing the ability to go to an Arca Swiss. And the problem is, of course, is that if you put, you know, some other plate on there all the time, the camera never balances quite right. And so I found that I was just missing that. And so I went with the grip here. So once again, you know, your advantage is that you're adding on a lot of accessibility points, connection points here on the bottom, and then on the L bracket, you'll see I have got a good, you know, bar to connect to here. Plus there's another connection point at that point. Battery door opens up easily without any kind of restriction. And of course here we have, again, magnetized. We've got the key that we need to operate it, and so it's always there handy. And so at the end of the day, you end up with a sleek look that's not adding a lot of bulk to it. I didn't want a lot of additional bulk on the EOS R, so it's just, you know, it's not even, it's probably about a ½ inch, so let's say somewhere around 12, 13 millimeters of extra width, but it just makes the grip feel even better, and I'm getting that Arca Swiss compatibility, which I really, really wanted. So as you can see, there's a lot of flexibility that's added to the camera there, and really the only downside is that, you know, depending on how small your bag is, it may extend the width of the camera to where it's a tighter fit. Good news is that in those rare occasions where that is an issue, it's not hard to remove it. It takes a few seconds, and so you can always do that if needs be. And there's been a few occasions, for example, when traveling, where I wasn't even taking a tripod with me, and I said, I'll just live with the grip, and I need some extra width. I just popped it off. Piece of cake. The other great thing about these grip extenders is and L brackets is they're not expensive, and so, you know, most camera stuff is really expensive. They're very nicely made. However, price point, for example, the one that's on my A7R3 that I demonstrated, that costs $59. The one for the EOS R, it's a little bit bigger because the camera's a little bit bigger, cost is a little bit higher, but it's $79 US. And so, you know, all things considering the price of camera accessories, it's money to me that's really well spent, because it makes a huge difference. And literally the first thing that I did when I started doing Fuji reviews, even though I don't even own a Fuji camera, I get a loan when I do Fuji reviews, is I got one of these grip extenders to mount on it, because it just makes it so much more usable for me personally. And so if it's something that works for you, I'll throw links in the description down below so you can check that out, and even a little discount code that can help to get you them at a reduced rate. Also to that grip tape, if that's something you want to do. It's not a hard modification to add on to there, just to add some extra grip and maybe a little bit better of an aesthetic match. And that's my one probably recommendation to SmallRig, is that I think it would be smart for them to just incorporate that into the design. There's a lot of people that seem to prefer that approach, or at least make that as an option perhaps. I'm Dustin Abbott. Take a look in the description for all of that information. Also, link is there to follow me on social media, to become a patron, sign up for my newsletter, and if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.